Welcome back to He's a Kepper. Like he's a goalkeeper, but his name is Kep. I don't think you understand. So his name is Kepa Arrizabalaga. Things are finally happening. Forgive me if anything changes from writing to release, but as it stands, Arsenal have announced Kepa and we're waiting on the Zubimendi drop. Christian Nørgaard is done, pending a medical. We're in the process of agreeing a fee for Mosquera, with personal terms nearly done. We've met with Eze's camp, with David Ornstein confirming that will be in addition to a striker and a winger. The Rodrigo and Šeško Gyökeres sagas drag on, and we've got links coming out of our ears. Is this my club? I feel like I could sing. Someone stop me. Hold up there, Alex from the future, because I hear some of your viewers still aren't using Surfshark VPN. It can't go on like this, can it? It can. Let me tell you why I use Surfshark VPN and why you should too. First up, privacy. Say I'm on public Wi-Fi in a hotel, airport, or coffee shop, Surfshark keeps my connection encrypted. I'll tell Crouchy and Nico Crenshaw. Next, access. With servers in over 100 countries, I can unlock content no matter where I am. Netflix, Disney+, iPlayer, you've got the lot.
And more football than you believe. More than you believe.
Surfshark also blocks ads, malware, and those annoying trackers that follow you across the web. Honestly, it's amazing. I can't even bother Mo Salah anymore. And here's what really sold me. One Surfshark account covers unlimited devices. Phone, laptop, smart TV, iPad, all protected. I tried another VPN, and honestly, that was a bad one. If you want to stay private, access more content, and browse safer, Surfshark's a no-brainer. And use my code TDK to get 4 months extra for free. Come on, guys. Let's raise the standards, guys. Thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring The Different Knock. Okay, we're back. Let's dive in. I'm always conscious in this kind of fan analysis space of doing this, which I have definitely been guilty of in the past. Number one, Arsenal do something in the market. Number two, I want it to be good because if it's good, then it means we might win something. Three, I make a video trying to convince you, but largely myself, that it's a good thing. Step four, repeat. Natural pessimists have their issues for sure, but a natural optimist like me is definitely in danger of rationalizing or reverse engineering why actually everything our beloved club does is the perfect idea. Why this player solves everything and saves my marriage. Because if that move isn't good, then where's the hope that keeps you going as a fan? We may think negativity sells, and it does in certain corners of the internet, but I actually think most people want good news. So today, I want to assess the window so far. But I'm biased, and so are you. So I think the only fair, objective, if that's even possible, way of doing it is to go back, to compare what we expected before to how it's all matching up. Before all outcomes, before any risk of positive spin, what did we want? In this video, I ranked our priorities for this window, and I gave a list, which you can see on screen now, of what I wanted us to do this summer in order of priority of importance. And with 2 months left in the window, 1 is done. 3 of the 8 are as good as done. There's heavy links to 7 and 8 in Hato and Eze, and I don't know what else the club could do publicly to convince everyone that they're working on numbers 1 and 3. Probably Rodrigo and Šeško, who I believe are the number 1 targets. We are motoring. Look, there's a huge caveat here, of course, and that's that loads of that isn't over the line. On track doesn't mean done. We've maybe gone in slightly different directions to where I expected in a few positions, which we'll discuss. I think certain deals look better if and when we confirm other deals. We have to wait to see our sales, our contracts, and the final squad in September, as we always would have had to. But there's no rationalization here. The club are on track to do all 8 things that I personally wanted them to do before the summer. And we've even got a better beer in the stadium. Joking aside, it's one thing to sit on YouTube in comments or on videos and say, go on, do it. And another to, in your first window for Andrea Berta, begin to actually execute. Maybe some people feel I'm praising too early, but if and when we get these forwards over the line, I don't think there's going to be any room for disgruntlement. It's not done, but we are on track. The difference in approach between Berta and Edu, at least right now, feels stark. Lots of deals right now feel like they're happening at the same time. And the analogy I have is, and please forgive the crudeness, is it's like a sniper rifle versus an assault rifle. Neither are wrong, it's just different approaches for different things. Edu is the sniper. If he gets his long-term targets in one perfectly placed and timed shot, it's great. Declan Rice, perfect example. Clearly played the long game, pulled the trigger at the right time, gold. Odegaard, clearly wanted him in January 2021. We wait, we do it on loan, we wait for him to sort it out with Madrid, then we fire, it works. What a signing, what a price. But with that methodology, if you wait and it doesn't happen, it feels like it was quite hard to pivot and set up the next shot. Not always. There's good examples of Mudryk to Trossard or whatever it might be. But for example, Šeško doesn't leave last year and we don't appear to have other clear targets at a price that we're happy with. We don't pull the trigger. We end up without a forward and Mikel wasn't happy. Garcia doesn't leave Espanyol last summer. We have to get a cup-tied keeper. I will never be over that. But with Berta, it's the assault rifle approach. We're firing more bullets, but it feels right now like we're going to end up at least attempting to address pretty much every squad hole for the first time in a long time in one fell swoop. Other holes will come up, of course, but it looks like we're leaving far less to chance. On this left-hand side, for example, we're hitting Gordon and Williams and Rodrigo and Leao. Maybe it's a bit more scattergun, ironically. But we'll end up with a talent. There's risk in Berta's methodology too. Again, I'm conscious of doing old guy bad, new guy good analysis because it's not fair for the same reasons as earlier. Do we maybe risk losing out on those long-term targets because we're less willing to wait it out? Maybe. Are we at risk of moving for the wrong player from time to time with Berta? Again, maybe. But Arsenal's problem in the market has not been risk or volume of deals. The perfect player doesn't exist, and there is always talent out there. You could chase your number one target for 3 years and they get injured game week 1. Based on his Atletico track record, maybe we end up with a cleaner record under Edu, but I think we move quicker with Berta. And for where Arsenal are in their process right now, I'm liking Berta's choice of weapon. Okay, let's get into the specifics of what's been done. First, I'm looking at the other 6-8, number 4 on that list, which has turned out to be Nørgaard, and then we'll look at Mosquera and Eze. We've done a scouted episode on Nørgaard over on the Canon podcast if you want to check it out with actual clips that I can't show here and a coach's lens. But the headlines are, for me, he's kind of a right-sided, slightly deeper Granit Xhaka. He's a leader, very progressive and a bit more of a risk taker in his passing, which I like. A super sturdy tackler and very robust physically, having covered the most distance in the Premier League at one point last year. And he ended up 17th for distance covered overall. His first thought is forward with a first-time pass a lot of the time, which I really, really like and hope doesn't change too much when it comes to Arsenal and maybe isn't looking to do that up, back and through thing so much as he does at Brentford. Lovely, and again, forward thinking and build-up. Often he's Brentford's spare man and asked to kind of read the situation to find the outball when they're pressed deep, which he does well. He knows what he is and he keeps it moving. Xhaka-esque. However, unlike Xhaka, he scores a lot of goals from set pieces, accruing the third most XG from set pieces since the start of 21-22, behind Gabriel and Fabian Schär, and ahead of Van Dijk, doing that Marino thing where he nicks in between a centre-back and a full-back brilliantly. I mean, thank goodness. We're all worried about our set piece threat, right, guys? Is he going to hit Hollywood balls or do 80-yard recovery tackles? No. I also think he's a little bit rash too. But hopefully at Arsenal, there'll be less chasing and having to stop counters where he can go to ground too easily. And for £10 million or so, considering he's on about £40,000 a week at Brentford, from a deal perspective, it's pretty good. However, I'll be totally real. As some of you know, I wanted more legs in the midfield. And I want to be specific about what I mean there. I'm not talking about overall distance covered, where he excels. What I was looking for, really, was that elite athletic burst in this movement here. After a quick turnover inside, can Nørgaard make up that ground quickly to recover against central danger? At the moment, we have a single point of failure here in Rice. And without Rice, I worry in certain contexts. To me, he just doesn't have that particular quality to the level I would have liked, or I haven't seen it yet, certainly, to get his legs going quick enough. And these are the moments where I am going to be a little bit concerned, considering the makeup of our squad and the trends of the league, as we covered in a previous video. Now, he solves that problem in a slightly different way, by nicking in ahead of you, by reading situations very well. He actually came 8th overall for total interceptions last year in the entire league. But I suspect there will be times where, against a troublesome kind of central progressy type team like Villa or Forest, we have a few heart in our mouth moments. We're not talking Jorginho here, by the way. It's just getting his legs going in those first 5-10 yards. He can run, it's just not in the 1% in those sort of short bursts, which I have to be honest, is something I was looking for. Now that issue stands. It's a con in the cons list. Again, conscious of doing, well, this is the signing we made, so therefore it's not a problem. Because for me, at least, it is. But I am going to present the other side of the argument because I do see it. If I look at the rest of that list as a group, and obviously these are just the current names, but I'm expecting to spend between, let's say, 60 and 90 million plus wages on Eze, Šeško, and Rodrigo in one summer, then I can't realistically expect another spend nearing that on a player who ultimately won't play that much. I have to be fair. We've already done the 6-8 upgrade in Zubimendi, so we're kind of shopping in the bargain bucket. And the key signings and big investment has to happen elsewhere. Let's say we only sign Eze and Zubimendi and we don't do anything else. I'll be furious, but I'll also return to this deal and say, I think we could have done better. But right now, financially, I do get it. And when you're shopping cheaper, there's going to be more questions. And secondly, Benjamin Šeško, Jorel Heito, if that's happening, and Christian Mosquera are definitely, in some ways, projects. Zubimendi and Rodrigo are from another league, as are all those other three. For where Arsenal appear to be shopping from this summer, I can understand why, in the balance of, say, 7 or 8 players coming in, from who it looks like as we sit here today, Arsenal have gone for a bit more of a surefire, known thing for that second 6-8. You can't go and sign 7 or 8 overseas prospects in one summer and expect they're all going to adapt to this hyper league straight away. You have to balance it somewhere, so Nørgaard makes sense. We've also seen the benefit of having an immediate Premier League translation in Raya, Rice, Trossard, White, and so on. As for the, he's 31, he's over the hill arguments, the first time he ever made more than 30 appearances in all competitions in any campaign was actually 2017-18. Similar to an Ollie Watkins, when you look at the career minutes, I think he's got enough in the tank. And that price in that area, along with Marino and so on, also I think gives us space to go and do something later down the line, in January or next summer. So let's see how we get on. Because finally, some of the response to Nørgaard has been absolutely mad to me because he's not going to play that much. With Mosquera, I don't agree, but I do get the, why are Arsenal signing another defender? We want attackers. I get it. Audit isn't priority, but fans are fans. Okay. But in Nørgaard's case, we've lost Jorginho and Arté, but we've signed the upgrade already. That's already happened. If it's about thinking Zubimendi isn't an upgrade on Arté, okay, look, I disagree, but fine. But if Partey's free and not physically declining, then we should expect to see him go to a top European club and play 30 plus games, shouldn't we? Injuries permitting. If we've made this huge mistake with Thomas Partey, then that should happen. Let's see, but I'm not convinced. Next, Mosquera. I've watched less of Mosquera, to be honest, so I'll develop my thoughts as we go through the campaign. But the exciting part for me on the surface is what he does to our list of what I'll call our 1% club. I look around our team, and what I think is really exciting now is I'm seeing a list of maybe 7 or 8 players who I would say have at least one thing they are top 1% in the world at. If not the best, certainly near the best. Miles is 1% at dealing with contact. Look at those numbers. Saka, 1% consistency plus other things. Rice, I would say 1% athleticism. There's definitely more. Gabriel, Timber, Saliba definitely has one. Odegaard maybe, and so on. But Mosquera, I think, will have a 1% quality, and that's recovery. It's not just his pace. He is rapid. He knows how to use it as well. When making a prospect signing, I need something like that to build around. I need someone who I go, okay, you're not the finished article, because he isn't, and I don't expect him to be with his squad role and price. But what I do know is you're very, very good at one thing, and therefore I can kind of build around that. Your development, theoretically, is a bit clearer. If you have that recovery quality, how can I teach you to try and bait players into knocking it round you so your defensive numbers just absolutely skyrocket? How can I work on your positioning to say, okay, in possession, can you impact us by squeezing even higher and helping us retain the ball because I know you got it locked down behind? Can I, in certain training sessions, ban you from using your pace to push you? I remember Thierry Henry talking on a recent Stick to Football episode about how one of his coaches did that when he was at Clairefontaine and how it made him a better player. It gives me something to bounce off. If you look at other prospect type under 21 signings we've done in the last 5 or 10 years, it isn't always immediately obvious what that is for them. What was Marquinhos 1% at? Guendouzi, what was his 1%? Or Mavropanos or whatever. Conversely, is this one of the reasons Miles has exploded? He has one thing we can all kind of hook onto. And in conversations, I've been comparing Mosquera to Nuno Tavares. Let me cook. Nuno Tavares had a 1%. Incredible physical gifts in a slightly different sense. And we've begun to see at Lazio why we took that 8 million or so gamble or whatever it was. With Mosquera, if he doesn't make that jump at Arsenal to improve the rest of his game, as Nuno didn't, we'll hopefully still have an asset who someone can make use of because of that 1%. And hopefully we can handle it better. Mosquera is further along than Nuno though, having played 2 full La Liga campaigns, which is why Madrid was sniffing around. And I think why we did it now rather than waiting. Quite like this thing of us beating Real Madrid to signings. Let's keep doing it. He's versatile and pretty ambipedal, which I think has been missed in some analysis. So I think he'll be played across the back line. And I want to stress it's not just the physical quality, it's when he chooses to turn on the afterburners that I've liked in getting to know him better. Again, we'll do a proper scouted episode on him on the Canon podcast with clips that I can't show here. So check that out when it comes out. Really though, this kind of goes back to the Tomiyasu thing. I think this is basically us saying, Tommy, we can't really rely on you. And in that same video I referenced, I said that I, Alex, the soft guy from Bournemouth, would probably keep Tomiyasu, but maybe we have to move on. But I said I feel like the club maybe need to be ruthless. And it looks like they've done just that. Drop me a comment, Mikel. I know you're watching. Finally, Eze. Now this is exciting. That Ornstein bomber hit different. One of my issues with Arsenal, as you all know, in the last couple of years, is we've been a bit rigid, a bit stale. And the reason I'm so excited about this is Eze is a kind of finished product. He has flaws, but one of the staple aspects of him is he's one of the few players that I can pause a game, he's on the ball, I have literally no idea what he's about to do. Let's play, shall we? Ball out wide with Munoz, Eze crashing the box. He arrives onto it. What's he doing? You tell me. I would say he's going to have a shot first time, maybe control it and have a shot, or maybe lay it off to Sarr. Nah, mate. Back heel to Mateta. Goal. Ball comes to him in the midfield. Here, what's an Arsenal player doing? Not picking on him, just a different player. What's Nørgaard doing? Probably going wide for progression or playing the wall pass. Whoops. See ya. He carries. Again, what's an Arsenal player doing here? Going wide or trying to pick that pass on the run for Mateta. Nah, mate. He's having a shot. Deflected. In. Ball breaks on the edge of the box. Players everywhere. What's he doing? Quick moment of separation, then the shot, or a pass out wide, or a check back. Nah, mate. One bounce, shot, goal. Wide in the FA Cup against Fulham. Clamped down, 2v1. Easy pass back. Nope. Ridiculous ball to Mateta, goal. That goal against us from the corner. How has he done that? By the way, replace Mateta with Šeško in a lot of these situations, and he would have a lot of fun. We have to be careful. These are highlights. But what Eze does have is an inbuilt invention. And at 27, I don't see that changing. He wants to entertain. Recently, in an interview with the BBC, he said, why do I do what I do? Why do I try things that other players wouldn't think to do? It's for the people watching. What you're doing to people in the stands. That's what football is about. How you can get people off their feet. It feels like football is starting to shift a bit and there's not as much of that. But as long as I play, that's what I want to do. I love that. And it's not just from a fan enjoyment perspective. It actively impacts our game model. For Arsenal in July 2025, it's exactly what we need. He has flaws and I have questions about how exactly it all fits in. But with his story with the club, it's perfect. Eze doesn't feel like an Arteta 24-25 player, which is maybe unfair to Arteta, but it's arguably the most exciting part. It feels like he brings a dimension we don't have. An injection of the I'm him Arsenal need outside of Saka. If this deal advances, we'll do more on him in isolation, as we'll do with all the other big targets. But my goodness, in combination with those other two, that's exciting. Also, this is super nerdy. The way he brushes the ball with the outside of his foot is so aesthetically pleasing. Bring. Just to clean up, Kepa, there's not loads to say. Good, non-prohibitive signing for the cost. I think he'll be happy to be a number 2 at this stage, but I trust him to play, which is a good place to be. And he's not cup-tied, which is ideal. Maybe the left back, Hato, is the least advanced here, but we've seen links to that for years. But we also have Zinchenko likely and Tierney definitely off the books this summer. And maybe Kivior goes. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did something on that side, even if it doesn't end up being Hato. I suspect a lot of the recent activity, by the way, is because we're pretty clear with what's about to happen with the forwards. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some movement pretty soon. We've also moved on a lot of wages this summer already, and I think we're going to continue to. I'm going to shout out Canon IQ on Substack, who does some brilliant deep data dives, and on a recent wage to performance article produced this, link in the description. He explains his methodology on there, but this is all the players plotted on a wage versus a very well-crafted performance metric, and you can see where we need to target. We've managed to move Jorginho, looks like Zinchenko will go, Partey's wages are off the books, looks like Tommy's days could be numbered. Jesus, we're coming for you, mate. And look at this potential squad depth. When I look around at Liverpool, City, etc., this is where we need to be. It's obviously not this simple because players play multiple positions, but just for our brains to visualize something, I think we're finally heading towards a world where we have 2 brilliant options in each position plus depth. And that is exciting, even if it comes with a lot of if. Kepa and Raya, Timber and White, Saliba and Mosquera, Gabriel and Kivior, Miles and Calafiori, Zubi and Nørgaard, Rice and Eze, Odegaard and Waneri, Saka and Jesus, Havertz and Šeško, Martinelli and Rodrigo. Look, there might be sales, but this is without mentioning Tomiyasu, Marino, Vieira, Zinchenko, Reece, Dalman, Trossard. Again, I know I'm in fantasy land. If we do this, or something close, we will be in an incredible position. And we're objectively on track to do so. So there we have it. Where we are in the market right now, as I see it. This has been a pretty positive video by and large. Some of the signings I don't think are perfect, but in context, it's really good. But I don't really know how else I could have assessed this. By my own methodology, by the thing I said a month ago, we're on that path. I haven't gone back in time. You can go back and watch that video. So why shouldn't we be positive with the direction, at least? Who knows if this all gets over the line? We have to wait and see. But right now, let's give the club credit where credit is due, because we'd be killing them if they weren't. I promise you, if it wasn't going this way, I'd be saying the opposite. But I'm not sure those critical voices are going to flip in the same way. Anyway, who cares? Because it feels like Arsenal are entering a new era in the market. And that, I've said it a million times this video, is incredibly exciting. Thanks so much for watching. If you like The Different Knock, you can support us on Patreon and get ad-free early access to each video for just £3 a month. Or for one-time support, you can buy us a coffee. Links are in the description.